top competitor in obedience, competitive obedience, and an amazing instructor. If anybody who's not seen her work, you'll be very impressed. So we're going to actually turn it over to Lori, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and how she got into obedience and all that she's accomplished, because it's so long that it's so. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Into obedience. That's what we're going to start with. Well, hi guys. Hi everybody. This is my first Facebook Live, so go easy on me. Can you tell? I'm not wearing. No.
No,
No.
None of us are. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, Nancy talked me into this. I said, don't blame me if it's bad for your business, because the camera does not love me. I know we're all getting education in an unwanted education in technology these days. And hi. Oh, look. Hi. Okay. Yeah. Oh, shiny. Hi, guys. Bear with me. I'm new at this.
You're good.
What was the question?
What when you got into obedience, when, and what caused, and when, why did you get into it, right?
You know where it really started was in 1972. There was a movie. You guys remember this? The Doberman Gang?
Oh yeah.
It was like, how old was I? 7. I was 7 years old. And it was a movie about like a bunch of trained Dobermans that went and robbed a bank.
Yes. Oh yeah, I remember that movie. I do.
I was like, stayed up late one night and it came on, and I was like sneaking, and my mom didn't know, and I was watching this movie, and I was in awe. I was floored, and hi guys.
He wasn't born then. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, it was the coolest movie though. So, I mean, it was really tacky. Now, if you watched it, you'd be like, "Oh my god!" But it struck such a chord on me, with me, that these dogs were trained and they went in and robbed a bank, and it was all dogs. So they just sent the dogs in, and so it just made such an effect on me that ever since that I started training my little animals. I trained my guinea pigs, and I trained my and I grew up with German Shepherds, so I didn't know I was training my dog, but I was, and so that just kind of stuck with me. And then years went by, and I got married, moved out, didn't have a dog. I had 5. I went to work at an animal shelter for one day and came home with 5 kids.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a bad plan. So I had 5 cats, and I started training my cats to do tricks, believe it or not. This is way back when. Oh, dogs are barking. We'll cut that out.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell you a trick though I've been dealing with because of these dogs barking, because now we're home all day and they bark.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I trained cats to do to retrieve and to do outs and to do all the things I didn't know what it was. And then my childhood friend, went to. She mentioned she was taking her dog to an obedience class, and I was like, "What? What? A what?" Before internet, this was before.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Phones. I'm old. And I was like, what is an obedience class? Do you get to train Dobermans to rob banks? And she was like, no, you go to the fairgrounds and they teach your dog how to heel and sit and stay. And I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard of. How do you get there? Where do you go? And it took me a while to actually find the place, because again, before Google, right?
Yeah, right.
So I went there. I didn't even have a dog.
Oh my
god. And yeah, I went there and I was like, oh my god, they're just here training dogs. That was back when you had 40 dogs in one ring.
Yeah.
And they were marching around doing,
Yeah.
forward, halt, pop, sit. And I was like, I got to get a dog.
Wow.
So that's kind of where it started. Yeah. Went and got a dog, went to the shelter, like within a week or so. I was like, I want a dog now. Um, of course, I just assumed I'd get a German Shepherd. That's what I was raised with. They didn't have any German Shepherds, so I ended up getting a mixed breed lab. He looked like a lab, and there was a little note on his cage that said "Good dog." Dog. Um, so packed him up, put him in my car, drove him through McDonald's for his freedom ride, and brought him home. Didn't know anything, and he crapped all over the crapped all over the.
My God.
And I was like, okay, training. That's
Wow.
starts. So,
And since then, you've put Arches on how many dogs?
I don't know, a few. I'd have to count them.
Yeah. And so tell an arch is and those people who do competitive obedience is a pretty difficult thing to get. So Lori, what does it require to get an arch? And what does that mean? Obedience?
Trial champion.
Got it.
An AKC title. It's well, now it's changed. It's still it's still 100 points. You get 100 points, and it's you have to get wins. So you have to have a certain amount of wins, and you get points by beating people. Unfortunately, so it's a competitive title. And yeah, that's my last. I just finished a notch with Delaney, my 9-year-old border collie. Figured I'd go back and kind of wrap that up, and so it was. I can't remember, but this maybe a couple months ago, finished that up. So
yeah, and yeah, an arch is requires quite a lot of training. So go ahead, Joanne.
Yeah. So for the people who don't aren't super experienced with obedience, what do you have to get through before you even start gaining your 100 points?
Oh, you have to get your CD, which is companion dog title, and then your CDX, which is companion dog excellent, and then your UD, which is a utility dog. And after you get that UD title, you can start earning points in the B classes. So you go to the B classes and you start to show there, and then you get points based on placements. So depending on how many dogs are in the class, you would get a certain amount of points. If you placed first, let's say, you might get, at first in utility, if there was 20 dogs, seems like there's not 20 dogs anymore, but back in the day, you used to get a lot more points because there was a lot more dogs. It's definitely a dying sport.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how you would accumulate points. And now they've actually, which I really, really like, they changed the rules to say, if you have a score of 197, I think, yeah, or above, you will get a point, one single point. But what used to happen was there would be a 5-6 way tie with, we all have 199s, and you all get called back in for runoffs, and you end up with your 199 and you get nothing to show for it. So they changed those rules, and I think it's a lot better now. It's going to be a lot more user friendly to people who want to get in there and try it now, because you at least get something.
Right. Jennifer wanted just brag. So, what do you enjoy most? What do you enjoy most about training in obedience? What do you find most fun?
What do I find most fun? Honestly, I don't train anymore. I'm terrible. What's most fun? I always enjoyed healing the most. Kind of like dancing with your dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's I did partner dancing for a long time because of healing. Isn't that sad? Very sad. but it's like, it's a follow and lead, it's just like dancing with a partner. I lead, you follow. And when it's done really well, it looks like it's done simultaneously. Very precision. You can make it as, flashy or strutty as you want. And so I think, healing was always my favorite. Fronts and finishes were my least favorite.
Well, I have to say, one of the things that's interesting about healing is that's what most people hate the most. Which is so funny.
Some people love it. It's
Yeah.
back when there were more punitive methods and we didn't know how to do it, the dogs didn't like it, so it was never fun for them. But now, it's fun. They can't wait. So
yeah. So Aaron is asking, why do you think it's a dying sport?
Because it's still basically trained with punitive methods, and it's hard to get out of that. There's plenty of people that don't, but I think that's why. First of all, it's hard, really, really hard to do. I've had herding champions and breed champions and barn hunt champions and tracking champions and what else champion is there? Nose work, did I say? I've had every top level title there is, and hands down, obedience is the hardest. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that is a big reason. It's just hard. A lot of people don't like that precision stuff, and it is just kind of a punitive environment. When I hear a lot of people say, I don't want to do that to my dog. And a lot of people don't realize that you don't have to do that to your dog. So, but that's why I think it is, maybe it'll start to come back. There's definitely more, more people out there doing it a different way. And so maybe there's hope.
So what skills do you think is probably the most important that all dogs should know everywhere, not just in, necessarily obedience, but, what would be a great skill to teach all dogs?
I use whatever you want your dog to know. So, if it's important to you, you should teach it. I really don't, I'm kind of loose about that. Some people would say maybe a recall or a stay, or don't go on the counter. I don't know. If it's a problem to you or something you want, teach it. If you're a problem with something, teach them not to do it. But I always say that one of the options to a behavior problem is one of the solutions is to consider it not a problem.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
It's gone. So, I mean, that's a real way you can solve your behavior problems. But I teach whatever you want your dog to know. I don't have any kind of rules like that. Like I said, some people say recall. If your dog never leaves the house, you don't need a recall. But
yeah,
rules like that.
Yeah. Well, and it's true. It's like for the first right solution to a behavior problem is, do you find it to be a problem? If you don't, then
right. Obedience.
Right.
Competition obedience people are notorious for their dogs jumping all over everybody. Right. We consider it a problem. I don't want to bend down, jump up here so I can pet you. And of course, a lot of people would consider that a terrible problem if your dog was jumping on people. So
yeah, right. Well, yeah, and it depends. Well, like pulling, I'll be honest, my little dogs, I really don't care if they pull. But my big dogs, I do care if they pull. Because and so yeah, it depends on what you consider to be an issue or a problem.
So speaking of, since you had mentioned, right, your dogs were barking a lot since you were home, what was the trick? Just since, so we talk about problems and how do you fix that?
So what I get asked, you guys get asked it 100 times a day. How do you stop them from filling
whatever? Right.
And my answer is always, what would you rather have him do?
Lie down and go to sleep, but go ahead.
And you train him to do that, right? So because now we've been home and people are walking their dogs and they're they're like, there's people out there. And so initially I would just be like, shut up, I'm the normal person too. And it stops them, but it doesn't stop them the next time, right? So that's the key to changing behaviors the next time. What happens the next time? We know we can stop it now, but what happens the next time? So, within 10 minutes, they'd bark again, right? They'd stop if I yelled to be quiet. So I just, there's 4 of them. And if they bark, I started out with just, I just got out food and did a little, I call it shower snack. So I take a fistful of food and throw it in the air. And they'd search for it. So the first time they barked, that's what I did. And they were like, seriously? And came over, found the food, and it took, one time now. The next time, they barked a little less. And then I fed the one that didn't bark. And they all came over and were like, what's he getting that for? What's he getting that for? Getting one. How come we're not getting one? And within a day, I'm not kidding, within a day, they it turned a 4-chorus to now one of them might go like, what? And then
that's awesome.
barks, I didn't, give me the food. So yeah, it works good now. Now now the cue of the person walking by or the dog walking by, they just come running. Hey, we were gonna bark.
So we did it though. So that's great.
You just get randomly surrounded by dogs looking for snacks.
That's awesome. I love that. That's really good. I really like that. Now he's like, yay.
People would say, didn't you reinforce them for barking?
No.
And people don't understand that that's not the way it works.
Right.
Because now we've changed their focus. So
yeah.
Same thing with aggression. I did a video one time of a dog that would growl when, I don't mind it if my dogs growl at each other. It's like siblings. There's never any bloodshed. There's Jean Donaldson used to say a good thing. She'd say it was like siblings fighting. She said, but it rarely breaks out into a knife fight, right?
Correct. Right.
So it's the same thing if they would, growl at each other, whatever. You laid too close to me. I certainly don't punish that. If you punish it, it would get a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
But so just to prove that point, when I'd get the growl, I would click it. And just to kind of show the progression of what would happen with that growl. So it initially started with a real intent, they're growling to say, you're bothering me, and I click it. And then what it turned into, again, very quickly, behavior changes very quickly, was such a half-hearted little, that all the feeling went away from it. So it was another interesting thing. They did the behavior of a lip lift, and nothing, no power behind it at all. So
yeah. Well, that's a very because I have with my young beloved canine companion, pointy-eared shepherd. He it's an interesting bark. He doesn't bark a lot. The only thing he barks is when people are going in or out, which is very interesting. So it's like I might try that and see if he, that can help kind of keep him quiet. So we've got a couple of questions. A couple of people want to learn how to teaching a dumbbell, because back in the day, the way you would do it would be an ear pinch and all that stuff. And these days, that's happening a lot less in the world. So, I guess, so wouldn't the same thing apply? Like you would change the way the dog feels about the dumbbell or taking it instead of just forcing it in. wouldn't you just try to get them to change their way they felt about the dumbbell or that retrieve?
Yeah, I would just shape it like any other thing. Start with any interaction at all, and then you pick your approximations that look more like a retrieve. Um, I have an online class now. We all have online classes now, and it's a tricks class, but it's teaching the dog to take an object, whatever it is. I just um, challenge somebody to get their little poodle to take a carrot. Carrot. I thought that was funny. Um, a carrot and a piece of paper and what else? And a straw. So, but yeah, you would just start out with smaller approximations and build up to a bigger behavior. So it's a game for them. It's all a game. They're all tricks.
Right. Well, interesting. And I haven't seen Aaron in quite a while, but Tango would not retrieve and would not, and my other dogs are all really good at it, and he wasn't, and he just wasn't interested in taking it. One day, he went and retrieved his toy, and I had the biggest party. I was like, "Oh my God, you got the toy!" He goes, "Oh, this is good." Oh, so now he's a retrieving fool. So he does. He goes get stuff. It's like, okay, we're good. Stop bringing it. So yeah, that was a kind of a spontaneous thing, but he would not pick up anything, and now he's like, yep, I would definitely. And you would teach them just to pick up the object. You wouldn't ask them to bring it back. I mean, that just happened. I just got lucky there with that, and I realized that.
That would be a way to do it. I usually start with holding something in my hand so I can tell that they're actually holding it. Can't see my hand. Holding it. So what I always say is my criteria would be top teeth, bottom teeth touch. That's what I'd be clicking. Click. That would be my, that's where I'd advance to. First, it would just be, will you sniff it? Will you lick it? Whenever you're shaping, if you stay at that approximation too long, you dig yourself a rut that you can't get out. So
yeah, honey.
Move ahead so you wouldn't keep clicking a lick or a sniff, or else you're teaching the dog to lick and sniff. You have to keep moving on. But once you get this, boom, that's it. You're done. Now you just get it for longer and longer and longer. That's retrieve. So it's really simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Lori, don't you also you're pretty creative with things, right? So you don't like the dumbbell, let's use a toy. Let's use something else to teach you something, and then we can shape it back to the actual obedience thing.
Oh, absolutely. I never start with a dumbbell. Usually in class I start with a rubber hose.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's long. Can you guys see my hands?
Yeah. Yep.
It's long, it's like a foot long, so you can hold on to one end. There, hold on to one end and the part, and it's soft and it's bigger, big thick rubber hose. And if they do well with that, I would switch to a wooden dowel of some sort, or a PVC plastic pipe. Again, that's something I could hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many people ruin their dumbbell because they're shoving, make your mistakes on the rubber hose if you're gonna make
right. And that's actually a really good point. Yeah, because then if you make a mistake, because everybody makes mistakes. If you make a mistake on a rubber hose, it's not going to affect. And you can go back and figure something else out on that. So, what would you tell people? Like it's like you said, it's all tricks to the dog. They're all tricks to the dog. So. And people just want to get that behavior right away instead of the short approximation. It's like, how do you and you are very creative in how you teach things. If one way doesn't work, you do look and see, oh, is there another way to do that? So what do you think about, like, say you're having trouble teaching a behavior, how do you go through that thought process? Is like, what can I do to help this or move this along? Because people get stuck and then they just don't know what to do, and then they start to go to force, right? Is usually what happens.
Yeah. First of all, you have to define what behavior it is, and I always tell people, tell me it in, one sentence or less. I don't want to hear a story about it. Then I want him to do this and he shouldn't do. Tell me, that's criteria. You have to say tell me exactly what you're looking for. And usually people lump, right? So they say, I
Yeah.
want to go out and pick up the dumbbell and bring back and sit in front of me and hold it until I take it. And that would be great. Good luck with that.
Right. Right.
A little bit. So, and sometimes people, I think that's the art part about training is what approximation are you going to pick? And then some people just need help, seeing smaller chunks.
Right.
Right. So, what would be less than that? What would be before that? What would be
Right. So what would be before that is where you'd kind of go backwards.
and breaking it down into a real basic behavior, and then just building distance or duration or distraction or whatever.
Yeah. So it's so interesting that because I'll be honest, I was a lumper for a lot of years. I was totally a lumper until I got more into nose work. It really, and behavior work, I wasn't such a lumper, but in just training regular stuff, in behavior, it's easier for me to make those. But for teaching stuff, I was a lumper until I started doing a lot more nose work. And then I started really thin slicing it. It's so interesting how, because I would say, yeah, I would totally be like, come on, you should be able to just walk and do that and put it all together instead of those small behaviors. So
Come on. Yeah, a lot of people are. I mean, that's
yeah. Oh yeah.
It's common, right? They don't see that. I just had this discussion with a student online. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Going back to some of that. So one of the things that I think people forget or they don't consider is how, like we all would like to have this great dog that's going to want to work and want to do stuff and is physically fit and all that. But so how much do you think temperament affects, the ability for you to do certain things with your dog, right? You're like you said, the dog, you bought a lab home that crapped all over your house. Well, not that makes him a bad dog at that moment. We're like, okay, we got to train that. But but how, if there's certain temperaments that are more and temperaments, not dog temperaments, that are more, lends itself to being able to work on some of that stuff more than others. And so have you personally ever had a dog that's like, oh, I just don't want to work that much? Because you see it sometimes in nose work when they have to work on their independent and they're like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I'm kind of cool the way it is. I don't have to do it.
Yeah, it's certainly a gift to have a dog that's just bomb-proof, right? We can be like, hey, I don't have to be sensitive to anything. I can just throw them off the deep end and they'll swim. That's a gift. I'm still waiting for that dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have had herding breeds mostly, and they're very sensitive. And some of them have been so sound sensitive that they would just shake, and they still are able to work through their, ACH titles and all their obedience titles and all their training. So I think it's if you have to, the basic agreement with the dog is what can I give you to exchange behavior? What are you to what do you want to play my silly little game? And just not in making that agreement and sticking to it. So if you said to me, how much do you want to do Facebook Live? payment I'm getting is the love, Nancy, the love from you. That's my payment. But so we would just have to make the deal of
Right.
worth it for you, and then not pushing them over the edge, right? So not pushing them too far, keeping them under threshold to say, are you willing to do this for that? And if they said, yeah, okay, and then evaluating, if it was like a hell yeah, give me it, then which a lot of people would say Facebook Live, yeah, where do I sign up, right? All the out there want to get their 5 minutes. Some people would say, no, I'm really don't want to do that.
Right.
So keeping evaluating the dog's response, keeping them on the threshold, keeping being observant. I think that's a skill that you just need to build. You really need to watch the dog's behavior, what they're doing, and then I use my yardstick is hesitation. Was it done with hesitation? So by the time I give you the cue, how much latency is there before you start the behavior?
Right.
If there's some, that means you're saying, that's not quite worth it. And so I'll stay at that level, make the deal sweeter, whatever. But, it's just constantly evaluating what's worth it for you. What's in it for me?
Yeah. And what are they willing to do? And that's really very, very powerful, because a lot of people, it's like, he should know this one. He should already be able to do it. Well, and he probably does, but maybe not in that environment, not that place, not in that situation, right? So it's a tough gig. And I think we get so caught up in wanting titles and all that, and then we just get so upset when they don't do well, or that maybe they're having an off day that day, where they're not feeling it that day, and then you get so upset about it. Or maybe in most cases, is you didn't train the dog enough to be able to.
That's it, right?
Yep.
I spent plenty of blood, sweat, and tears, driving home from the show, pulling off the road, crying because my dog didn't do it. And now I realize the dog's always right.
It's
me having to come up with that training plan that makes it worth it for the dog. And it's me observing the behavior and readjusting my training plan to make it work. And if they're responding, they're only responding to the information that they've been given. So if I've made it a real bummer for them, they're going to respond that way,
Right. Well, yeah. Well, and we've all been there. In with in Canine Nosework, my L-Level 2 with Cha-Cha, she didn't get the training she needed to get that title. So it took us a while to get it. And I finally had to be like, okay, I got a trainer to be able to get that. Otherwise, we're going to be beating our heads against this wall for a long time. And luckily, I was never ever mad at her. But I was just mad at myself because I knew the answer. I just didn't like it. Right.
Understand.
So I think one of the most favorite things that before I really knew you, I mean, I knew you, I've seen you at shows and some things like that, but it was when Nancy had soon gotten rats. And I remember walking into the rat room and I grabbed a little cookie and those rats all went,
Show me.
They did. And so you're like, yeah, I taught him that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the cutest thing ever. So, I mean, rats are a species you can't put a leash on, right? You can't use any kind of really physical manipulation with. And I know we've been talking a lot about positive reinforcement. So what are some of the things that you have seen, maybe yourself? I'm not sure, how you started out. How have you seen the dogs do better with positive reinforcement versus using, say, physical manipulation or things like that?
Well, it's kind of like the golden rule. Is how would I want to be trained to do something? And choice and control is a primary reinforcer. So giving the dog the control is it's the answer. It's the answer. So if we were gonna say pick, I don't know, 6 ways to come up with a behavior, we could use luring, which I'm the queen of luring.
Mhm.
Luring or prompting. So luring, here's my cookie, follow it into a sit. Great. Or targeting. Here's the, go to my hand, target it. Those all have to be faded. Those prompts have to be faded to get the dog to do it. So, or physical touch would be another one. So I'm going to take your butt and mold you into a sit. And first thing is, it's going to immediately affect them and say, you're touching me, and they're not going to really realize what they're doing. Where if we make it into, it's just ABCs. When this happens, if I do this, then this happens. So if I sit, I get a cookie. And then when mom says sit, if I sit, I get a cookie, and everybody's happy. But it'll take so much longer to do it by physically manipulating the dog. We used to literally pull up on the leash, right? And people still do that all the time. And it's just going to make a slow, painful, eventually will they do it? Bob Bailey's big saying is always, any trainer using any method can train any dog to do any behavior given enough time, right?
Well,
He'd say, what took you so long? So we can train, hello, I have Sharon, how I say Sharon. So we can train, like, again, behavior changes quickly. If it's taking you, I used to hear people say, I trained that for 10 years and he didn't, and I said, you're doing it wrong.
right.
Takes 10. It should take, usually the magic number is 3, and I'm talking about approximation. If I have a history of behavior and I say, offer me that, and they go, no, that one didn't work. How about this one? No. How about this one? No. Boom. The 4th one, usually about 4th one, they've got it. So that's how quick behavior should change.
Mhm. Well, if you think about it, look at our behavior that's changed in the last, and
Oh, yeah.
and for some of us, it had to change quickly, right?
Yes. What is this?
Well, I think that's one of just the common misconceptions of, like, why are people still using the old school methods, right? And from what I hear, a lot of it is it takes too long. It takes too long to do it positively. I'm like, it doesn't.
Oh.
So to try and get that out there, I mean,
yeah, you just have to be an example of it. And that's always what I come back to. Just be an example, just do it. And how many times I've heard people tell me you can't do that way.
Yeah, I bet.
You can't.
yeah.
You can't get a notch with using primarily positive reinforcement, and you can.
So let me ask, why do you think? So why do you think people believe? Because obviously, you've done it, and a few other people have done it using all positive reinforcement. Not many, but a couple. So why do you think the resistance is so? I don't know. Is it because I don't know? Do you feel like they've been doing it wrong for so long that they can't change, or they identify with that?
Well, I think that people don't have the information, right? So, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. And they also get reinforced by doing it their way because it works. And you'll never hear me say punishment doesn't work. It does work.
Sure. Yeah.
But it really damages the relationship. It damages the dog. We can look at human examples of people, children that are basically raised in punitive environments, and look what it does to them. They can tell us, where a dog can't tell us. I mean, tell us what's the behavior. But I, 20 years ago, I would have said I want to win. Um, and now it's just now I just say I care about the relationship with the dog. And I have a different, a very different definition of success now. So when I go to the show and I see the dogs tuck-tailed and panting and sweaty paws, and they get a perfect healing score, that doesn't impress me one single bit. When I see my dog up-eared, um, ready to say, I know exactly what to do and I know exactly when to do it, that's my definition of success. And I'll do it here as soon as you tell me, no matter what's going on. And I'll be happy to do it again and again and again and again. You get
Right.
something when you use positive reinforcement, you get oh, now I can't think of the word I'm trying to say. Discretionary effort.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you don't get that with punishment. So if I said, lift your foot off the ground, and I will, give you $5, you would quickly do it. If I electrified the ground and you lifted your foot off the ground because you were getting shocked, you would do it too, but you'd lift your foot up only as little as you could to avoid that shock.
Right.
If I trained you with positive reinforcement, you would say, "Can I lift it higher?" You'd start to say, "Do you want it? Yeah, let me climb up on a stool and give it, even higher. I can lift it as high." That's called discretionary effort. They say, "I can do it better. I can do it faster. I can do it more often." You don't get that with punishment methods. You get just as little as they have to give to avoid the punishment.
Yeah. Well, and so that was a question I had for you. Like, what you have such great relationships with your dog, because they're happy to work. Whatever you ask them, they're happy to do it. They're happy no matter what's going on. And you can see that togetherness when you're with your dogs, whether you're in the ring or whether you're in or out of the ring. And I think you've answered the question. It's like you're always asking the dog, like, "Does this work for you? Are we good here? Is this working for you?" Because that is not something you see all the time, right? It's like you don't see that all the time where the dog is very connected to the human. They're like, "Okay, I'm with him, but I don't want to be with him, or I don't want to be with her." And yeah, you see that, but you never see that with your dog. They're always happy to do stuff. They're always what are we up? What are we gonna do next? So
Whether I want it or not.
that's true. That's true. So let me ask you this: when you get upset, because we all do, and I remember back in the day when we started training back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Oh, my dogs are perfect. They never do anything wrong. And I thought, what is wrong with me? My dogs are not that. And they go, "Oh, you should never be angry at your dog." And I'm like, but that's not normal. It's a relationship like any other. So I get mad at my husband and I get mad at my dog sometimes, right? I just choose to, maybe we need to be apart for a few minutes so that we can all get back into the juju of love. but but people say that because we make mistakes too. Sometimes we're not in the mood, or we're not up for that, right? So how do you handle it when you're not when you're not exactly happy with your dog? Do you just give them that time? Do you give a break from that at that time, or what do you do when you're not feeling it, or you're not happy, or you're upset with the dog?
Well, you get to take the credit when you have really good behavior, and you also get to take the blame when you get troubles, right?
Yeah, right.
It's, if I'm talking about a behavior that they're doing that I don't want to deal with or I don't like, I am kind of always thinking, how can I change that? I ask myself, what would I rather have them do?
Right.
If I'm just trying to, sit on the couch and watch my favorite, Cold Case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I'll be like, go away. It's not, and they do,
Yes. Yeah.
but really for the most we have a lot of together time, and
Yeah.
very rarely I put the puppy lockdown, whatever you want to call it. I did put the puppy in the crate, because I was like, I just can't take it anymore. But for the, there's 4 of them and they're interacting with each other, and
Right.
when I got that first dog, I didn't know about a crate. I didn't have a fenced yard. And I was like, how did I do it? So yeah, there's a lot of go in the yard time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and I think, that's why I was asking, because it's like everybody's like, oh, I'm never mad at my dog. I'm thinking, how is that possible? I mean, I'm not mad at my dogs all the time, but occasionally it's like, okay, we need a moment because I can't. So, yeah, and usually just a part-time usually works well for us. Go in the yard, go in the kitchen, go with your daddy.
In me a lot to do stuff.
Huh?
They've been bugging me a lot. Dog is right. They're all
Yeah.
He's at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Come on. Something. So that.
Yeah. No. And my dogs have been too, and I've caught myself a few times, getting upset. And I'm like, I can't really blame them too much because they are bored. So I usually like, okay, what do you want them to do? Okay, let's get Kongs. Let's get something to keep you busy at least for a little while until we can do something more, active, right? So.
Yeah.
Karen doesn't have a fenced in yard. I don't know how you do it, Karen. So then the question that I actually had, and I thought that come up, is how often or how long or how often do you train your dogs?
Never. Isn't that? Yeah.
No. No.
I have been doing these classes, so I've had of training, and they're like, what are we doing?
Okay.
Oh, they're beside themselves. Oh my God, we were this. But I always am amazed. That's another reason I think training with positive is you get so much for so little.
Oh, yes.
I really do. And I just finished on Delaney, and boy, I rested on my. She just would. It wasn't like had to obviously polish it. It just lasts. Do it, and you can get a lot for a little. And then having said that, you're always training.
Right.
You're always training. So whether it's, don't take the food off the plate or don't bark at the dogs, you're always training. But,
yeah. Well, yeah, you're always, that's true. But lately, because a lot of people spend, they want to spend a whole hour training the dog, and for some dogs it's fine, but other dogs can't handle that.
Yes.
Yeah. So Linda had an actual training question a little while ago. She was talking about, the clicker. I know you use a clicker. So she's not good with the clicker. Can you use a verbal marker word as well? Same thing, or do you see issue with that?
Oh, of course you can. I always say, I hear that all the time. My timing sucks. Can't I just say yes? I said your timing's gonna suck with yes. So
Right.
So just try it. It'll make you a better trainer, because your timing will be better. Yes is not. Yes, you can use yes. Yes, you can use good dog. What a good boy! Aren't you a good boy? It's just not going to be as efficient and effective as if you're to really precisely mark a behavior. But yeah, of course you can use it. Some people use a word like maybe click. Say click. It's just a better word than yes. you're not going to be able to pinpoint the behavior as precisely. You're going to say yes when you aren't going to give a cookie, which will water down your yes word, where you're never going to click when you don't mean to and not give a cookie. Every time you click, you're going to give a cookie. You're ready to do that. So there's reasons why I strongly suggest that people try it, to use a clicker instead of some marker word. But of course you can. Again, I just might say, what took you so long?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I am one of those people. I have tried a clicker for, like, when I'm training a trick or something very precise, outside of sits and down or something. I am the worst premonition clicker that you ever did. I'm like, you almost click. Oh, no, wait, I did it wrong. So I know I need to get better about that, but I can't help it. I want the dog to be right so bad. Sometimes I click it right before they do something, and I know it's just, that's why I chose not to use it so much, because I know I would mess up the dog just doing it incorrectly.
You're going to be otherwise, I would say. You're going to be going in with a body movement, or you're going to be reaching in your pocket. You're going to be premature. If you're premature, you're going to be with your clicker. You're going to be premature starting that reinforcement process with whatever you use. So it'll just make you more aware of that timing. And those are just all mechanical skills people can work on, that because really it's you changing your behavior, not the dog, right?
Right. Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I train people to change their behavior. The dog.
Yeah. No, it is a little bit more challenging, even though I did that's why I went to the natural encounters. I went with Lori to get better at my timing, because it is different to train a bird. That's why the chicken camps are so great, because you really do get to work on your timing and criteria and all those things. So those are all really wonderful things to do, so that you can get better at that piece of it. Because I knew for myself, I'm also can be a little bit delay on the reinforcement, or usually I was late. Joanne's a preemptive, I'm late. So there you go. So it's always a process. But the one thing is that dogs are very forgiving, and
Yes.
And you're going to get what you reinforce. So if you're going to get the behavior right before, if you're or right after, and if you're early, you'll get it right before. But the good news is that it changes very quickly. You start reinforcing what you want, and the behavior will change. So
yeah. And that's good that you mentioned that behavior changes quickly, because people, like you said, I can't tell you how many people who said, "Oh, I've been working on that forever." I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Well, I won't say that, but I would say, well, you might try something else. But you're right, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. So, Lori, I'll tell you, I was very nonchalant. I did obedience with my very first dog, and we were 2 legs into our CD, and she stopped liking it, really, and it was because I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy myself very much, right? So why should she? So, but what I found was the environment for me to go to a show and hang out all day, it just wasn't as fun as some of the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you said, right, the membership's declining. You see less and less people at shows. So if you could tell the people that might be interested, or the world of people who might be interested in obedience, like give your little spiel on why they should give it a try, and why they should pursue it, and don't worry about what they've heard and the stigma around it. Like, what would you say to them?
I'd be saying it. You have to enjoy whatever part of it is tricks. A lot of people are doing the online stuff, where they're online testing, or there's some certain venues out there which are trying to promote a different more of a reinforcement trained dog to title under that. Like I don't know the names of them. Nancy, you probably know them better than me. like
Oh,
CPD or C.
oh no, the do more with your dog and the
Yeah.
CWAGS has that, and
then CWAGs. Yeah.
During the reinforcement, during the trial, you can give them a cookie or something. Am I?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So the thing that my beef was always, they wanted to make it whenever a reinforcement trainer would come along and come with an idea to train those behaviors in a more positive way. A lot of people would jump on it and say, "You can't do that. That's too much fun." They have to do it and not like it.
Yeah.
So I would say just do it in a more friendly venue. Think of it as tricks, because it's the same
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe my hope would be, if enough people come to obedience with more of a and it's changing, it's definitely changing, it's getting more positive at shows, but it takes a while. I've seen it change over 20 years, but it is changing. Agility helped that. So I would just say, you don't have to show if you don't want to, but do it in your basement. The nice thing about obedience again, it's just tricks, but you can do it at home. You don't need a lot of room. You can teach the behaviors quickly, and I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. No,
it's okay.
No, it's really it is. I'll be honest, I also didn't pursue it because the environment was so stressful. I was like, with such little time and time and money, I wanted to do something that was fun too. And but yeah, it's like it's all tricks with dogs, and there's so many things you can do. And like you said, there's so many venues you can do and play with your dog that you can still do it and enjoy it to a. Oh, I know what you were talking about. The oh my gosh, it used to be called St. Hubert's. What is that one? Oh my gosh.
That's it.
Well, St. Hubert's, but it changed the name to
It's like CSPD or
yes. CD, yes. Actually, yes, and they and unfortunately that hasn't taken off. They're still doing it a little bit in the East Coast. It's CDSP, I think it is.
That's right.
And they do where you can reinforce, and it's very positive, and yeah, it's a little different. So yes, that I remember.
Some venue that judged on utmost and willing. I mean, that's what AKC is supposed to judge on, but it's not true. Utmost and willing, or set up the venue to earn titles through different types of challenges, and base it on the dog's I don't know, enjoyment level. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Hard to judge.
Yeah, and that's hard to judge. How do you judge the so and Kay says that obedience has helped my dog gain confidence. Yeah, and anything you do with your dog in a positive way, where your dog is learning and developing, just like us, right? I'm a lifelong learner. I always like to learn things. This has been a little more stressful for me than than I anticipated, but I do enjoy learning new things, right? And some dogs really enjoy it as well, and they really enjoy doing stuff with their people. Is actually what they like the most. So does anybody have any questions? Otherwise, we're coming close to the end. Oh my gosh, that was quick. So if you'll see the crawler on the bottom there with Lori's information. And I think she has her online classes and stuff there. So if you want to go visit there, and Lori, if you haven't seen her in action, you're in for a treat if you do. Even online, and her dogs are amazing. Always been impressed with how well she works with her dogs. It's so nice. and so fluid, so easy to watch. So it's been great. All right, thank you, Lori, and thank you everyone for coming out. That was great.
This is a really nice breath of fresh air on obedience. So I
Yeah,
really appreciate you sharing your take on things.
yeah, and yeah, this has been great. So
Good.
thank you so much. So hold on, Lori.